here we go. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the South Korean Terran player representing Team Abydos. It is Cure. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing Onside Gaming. It is Solar. Now, I will say that Cure is on fire. He is a hot commodity right now. Cure has been popping off in these online weekly tournaments, in the ESL Open Cups, in the KSLs as well. I do think that Cure is probably the favorite Terran player in this tournament. I definitely think that I would maybe even say he's the strongest Terran in this tournament right now. And I just checked and I just realized that he's the only one left. So I guess that makes sense. He did outlast both Bjorn and Clem. Because of course he did. Like Cure, he's just been doing so well for himself. Of course, he went on a hiatus, as we have a very aggressive opener. It's going to be a gas pool opener from Solar. My god. But Cure did go on a hiatus. We've spoken about this many times, and eventually we'll stop. But of course, Cure, he did get injured like over a month ago, and because of that, that's why Cure was absent. It's something that we did take note of almost immediately. We're like, why isn't Cure here? He's always in this like ESL weekly tournament, or he's always here in KungFu Cup. And a week passed, 2 weeks passed, 3 weeks passed, and I was really concerned. I was like, did he retire? What's going on? And of course, we were eventually notified that he was injured and that he actually couldn't play. Actually couldn't play the game for around a month or even more than that. And then that all changed recently. That all did change. He flew to DreamHack Jönköping. He flew to Sweden. He played in that. And starting, I think, last week was his return to competitive play in the online tournaments. So it's really cool to see Cure back here doing well for himself and achieving so many good results. It's almost like he never left. Like when he started competing again, he was knocking down big names left and right and looking damn good doing it as well. But we'll see how we can look here in the KungFu Cup. Oh boy. As we get into this game, of course, a massive shout out to Shiva Blaster in the chat. Thank you so much for gifting a tier 1 sub to Emperor Fubel. Thank you. Do appreciate it. Thank you so much. As Solar, again, did go for a little bit more of an aggressive opener. Link speed is already on the way. We have another wave of 4 links coming up behind this as well. So Solar isn't link flooding, but with the abundance of links, he's going to be able to shut down this Reaper. He's going to be able to go across the map and ideally get some economic damage. He's actually looking to try to avoid that Reaper, but the links do get spotted. Cure is aware. He knows. He evacuates the natural base immediately, and he is pulling up Marines on top of this ramp in his main. So these Lings shouldn't get too many kills. We can see there, no SCVs here on the low ground, but he does force lost mining time. Does force the SCVs to be inefficient here in the main base as we are oversaturated, and does even force the lift up on that low ground CC as well. Reaper does get shut down, so yeah, pretty nice opener here from Solar. It's doing some inadvertent damage. Now that the Lings are forced back, now that the Hellions have arrived, Cure can regain control of his natural. He can start mining once again and get his economy back on track. Behind this, it was a third CC before Starport. As the third CC is about to finish up, we do have a Viking on the way. Viking first here before we go into our Banshee. Interesting. I think this was actually a 3CC opener, if I'm not mistaken, into that. Sorry, I think this was a 1-on-1 opener into the third CC. But regardless, you know, at least we do have that economy going here. Orbital is being morphed in. The first Banshee is on the horizon. And we'll see how much damage we can get done. With the revelation of that Viking, Solar, he knows that he's going to have to throw down spores momentarily. He knows he has to focus on queen production and spreading all of his creep. So far, so good for Solar. Cure, he's going to be poking on in, looking for some of that damage. So far, he does run into a wall of queens. Backs off. He's taking his third base as we speak. already on location. Very greedy. Very few Terran players have the confidence to just land their third base immediately like this. But Kier, you know, he's made of different stuff. He's able to get his own third up and running. Cloak on the way. The first Banshee is already zooming out across the map. That Viking does get a second Overlord kill. Very nicely done. Hellions gonna threaten a dive. No, they commit. Oh, Evo Chamber's not thrown down in time. The drones, they're lining up. No. 6 drones already go down. The Lings are being worked through as well, but it looks like the Hellions being forced back. The Queens will clean this up. They will defend, but not without losing 8 drones. Pretty good amount of damage. He didn't just get the drones, he also got the Lings as well. But because of that dive, that does relinquish map control. That means there are no more Hellions on the map. That means that Solar can go for a counterattack, and oh, this base is very exposed. Kira being punished here for throwing away all of his Hellions. Doesn't lose any SCVs. He's able to pull back in time, but he is forced to deny it, or is forced denied mining here at his third. Solar, meanwhile, is getting into his own lair, working towards 1-1, his Baneling Nest as well. Looking quite solid here on these 4 bases, or at least 3. Meanwhile, behind this, Cure still hasn't quite found a lot of damage here with these Banshees. He's been able to get a couple of drones, it looks like. I say a couple of drones. I believe he killed some of the Lings that were harassing, if I recall correctly. But now we're getting across the map. Spores are repositioning. They're being thrown down a little bit more forward. But that means that the Banshee can just run past. Uh-oh. Banshee just runs right past the Spore, gets a good amount of damage done. 6 drones, 7, 8 drones, 9 go down. This is getting a bit out of hand, not gonna lie. Solar being a little bit cavalier with repositioning his Spores does expose his mineral line. Ay, this is too much. 15 drones. That's basically an entire mineral line going down. And the Banshees, oh, do they survive? No way. They survive. They get out. Ay. And the punish was real. These Banshees, if they want to, they can go back home and get repaired. But Cure, he wants to squeeze out as much value as he can. He gets an active creep tumor. Viking almost getting another Overlord. And now Cure, his main push is on the way. We have 2 tanks. We have a lot of Marines. Solar has been forced to re-drone, recovering what he's been losing. And that means that Solar's main army is that much smaller. Uh-oh. Tank siege up again. Really nice positioning here with these tanks. We've got 10 Banelings to Solar's name. He's going for a counterattack. No, sorry, he's going for a surround. God, that hatchery is getting very low. The Lings, they come in from behind. Big tank shots go off. Oh my god, the Banelings are going down. The kiting is too good. We get 1 tank, but only 1 tank. At Cure, he can keep on pushing. At the same time, that one Viking, trying to get another Overlord. Reinforcements are on the way. Sim on forward. Can we get another one of these queens? It looks like we do. One queen does go down. That Viking actually falls to the defensive queen of Solar. Oh god, reinforcements arrive. There's no creep here at all, and it looks like Cure has done it. He is breaking on through. Solar barely has a standing army. He went for Hydras as well, which we can't really afford to do right now. GG gets called. And Cure takes game number 1. GG. Off of the back of so much economic damage. It wasn't just the 15 drone kills from the Banshees. Remember, it was also the 6 drone kills on top of that from those Hellions as well. And the fact that Cure, even though there were a couple of Ling counterattacks, he wasn't losing SCVs. Remember, he was very quick to pull away SCVs at both his natural and his third base as well. Very nicely done. And yeah, with that, Cure has a lead in this series and is looking to do even more than just take a lead. He is one game away from making it into the grand finals. It's a best of 3, of course. Only a best of 3. Catching up in the chat. Thanks for the ducks. Ah, beautiful. Disgusting. See the chat catching up. Oh god. Yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal what Cure was able to, what he was able to accomplish with so little as well. But now we're getting into game number 2, into our second game of the series. Solar has the opportunity here to fight back. And a massive shout to Shiva Blast. Oh, thank you. For the second gifted sub. I overlooked it a little bit, but thank you so much for gifting a sub to Tato. Gracias, Papa. Gracias. Tatobson even. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate the gifted subs. Hope you enjoy your quacks. Hope you enjoy your emotes. And I hope you enjoy the replay packs as well. Fun fact, we do have permission to share replays from the Kung Fu Cup. So yeah, you will be getting the replays of this tournament, of these very series. So thank you. Do appreciate it. As we're getting into game number 2 and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Gresvan, we have the South Korean Terran player representing Team Abydos. It is Cure. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player looking to fight back in this series, representing Onside Gaming. It is Solar. Of course, if you want to claim your replays, then join our server. Join our Discord, as we do share our replay packs to our subscribers on Discord. Gonna join us there. Quack, Bobby, quack. Spread the emotes far and wide. Spread them, Bobby. Spread them. Quack, Bobby, quack. But yeah, things escalated very quickly. They escalated very quickly in that last game. Cure finding so much damage and yeah, just snowballing that into a victory. Goes to show that, I mean, losing 20 plus, what was that, 21, 22 drones? Losing 22 drones at this level of play is pretty unacceptable. It is unacceptable damage. You cannot allow that to happen that early on in a game as well, as your opposing player is good enough to capitalize on that and just kill you then and there. Oh boy. So hopefully Solar is able to physically and mentally recover from that last game and get back into this. For the time being, it is going to be a hatch gas pool opener here from Solar, nothing too crazy. Bearing in mind that last game Solar did go for a gas first opener. He rushed into gas, he rushed into link speed, and he was trying to get some early game damage if you remember, but he didn't find any. He didn't kill any SCVs at all. He denied mining time, but that was it. So he put himself behind economically, more so than Cure, just because he didn't get any worker kills. So this time Solar, he goes for a much more sensible opener instead. Goes for the faster hatchery. Meanwhile, back at home, Cure, he goes into his third CC before starports. Again, very economic. And the same opener he went for in the previous game. Oh my god. 5 HP Reaper playing with fire. Cure, calm down, Bobby, calm down. You share Reigner versus Showtime after that? No, Reigner versus Showtime is currently mid-series. They are playing off-stream. We are casting the upper semis. We're casting the winner of Reigner versus Showtime versus Hero. That's what we will be casting. That's in the upper semifinals. As the Reaper is dancing here between the bases, just trying to be cheeky, trying to pick off the tumor if it's ever exposed, but alas, Solar does force Cure back. is able to establish himself here, just drone up, work on his queen production. Meanwhile, back at home, we do have that add-on swap, and we do have that Banshee on the way. Now, what's interesting is that this is different from the previous game. We have a much faster add-on swap because we didn't have a Viking. We actually didn't make the Viking first this time. And to be fair, the Viking didn't do too much. I mean, it got 2 Overlords, which wasn't too bad. But for the most part, Solo was able to keep up with the Viking harass, and it looks like Cure, he's again more concerned with just getting his Banshees out as quickly as possible. Third CC is on the way. And yeah, we're getting into our game here. It is on Gressvan, of course. This is a much larger map compared to what we previously saw. You know, the larger maps in the map pool are Altitude, Ancient Cistern, and Gressvan. And in this matchup, we have seen quite a lot of late game scenarios here. We saw an intense series between Solar versus Oliveira earlier on this very map. It was very back and forth, very dynamic. Just because of the defensive nature of a lot of these locations, of a lot of these bases, usually it is a little bit easier for players to survive the mid game and get into the late game in some way, shape, or form. But we'll see. We have seen Cure really have these impeccable pushes where he's able to just position his tanks so beautifully, position his marines as well, avoid surrounds, and snowball, especially when he pushes through the center of the map. Interestingly enough, Solar, he's taking the southern base here. He's not taking the center base. His fourth is on the way. Meanwhile, the Banshees are out. They're going to be looking to dip into one of these mineral lines. Both of them, though, they have spores. So these Banshees aren't going to have as much free reign. We shouldn't be doing anywhere near as much damage as we dealt in the previous game. The Hellions have also been a little bit more passive as well. We haven't seen Cure be anywhere near as active either. We're going to get some gas mining drones. 2 drones go down, but not much else. So we're dipping towards the third base. Queens are in position though. Force this back. Cure being very careful with his control, but 4 drones is all he has to settle for. As the Queens of Solar are even looking to try and flank this army. Up! 1 Banshee goes down. Very good positioning here out of Solar. And we have a game. Let's go. Solar doesn't just straight up die to the Banshee harass. Oh, let's go, Bobby. Let's go. Now, of course, Cure doesn't have that one-shot potential. His Banshee isn't anywhere near as threatening, and Solar's able to get his 4th base up and running. 5th is on the way. Creep isn't looking too bad either. But this is a very Cure. So we've been very intentionally keeping these Hellions alive. We were not active at all. The armory is about to finish. Cure is about to morph in these Hellions into Hellbats to support the tanks. 2nd tank does arrive. This main push here from Cure is going to hit like a truck. And Solar, even if he surrounds this army, again, these Hellbats, they provide a wall here to protect the tanks. It's going to be difficult to deal with. Armory just finished up. There we go. Hellbats are being morphed in. Solar decides to counterattack instead. I love this. But there are reinforcements at home. The counterattack doesn't do much damage. Oh, he's not looking! Cure was not looking. He takes a Baneling to the face. Loses a good chunk of his army, and now Solar, he should be able to surround. He should be able to clean this up. Oof. The tanks, the Hellbats, everything goes down. And Solar holds on to his 3rd base. Cure is going to try to go for some drop play instead. He has a force active here towards the south. He's going to be able to clean up a lot of this creep. But creep is all he has to settle for. To be fair, he's getting a lot of it, but he's getting a lot of creep. But for the most part, Solar is able to defend, even setting up a Baneling counterattack as well, or Baneling run by. Cure working on his 4th base as we speak. He's still trying to be as active as possible. Oh, was that it? Yeah, it was a cancel. Thank God. As we did force a cancel on that hatchery just for a moment. Solar trying to split up his army as well. The drop is coming back in. No Banelings here towards the north. Kira, he can trade quite efficiently. Oh, forces another cancel on that southern base. On that sick. Means a stim on forward once again, but this time Banelings have rotated over. Do have a standing army. Spores, they zone away the drop. And again, even though Cure isn't finding too much damage, what he's doing is that he's keeping the army of Solar busy while Cure takes a fourth and throws down a fifth. He's hoping to keep Solar back at home, but Solar has had enough defending. He doesn't want any of this, not anymore, as he does commit to a counterattack. Ooh, he gets a kill on the fifth base. He gets a tank as well. So far, so good. He's going to be bleeding out some of these Banelings, but it has been worth it here for Solar. He has gotten more than enough damage. Is being contained to 5 bases. This is the 3rd time this base has been denied. Oof. So Solar is having a hard time. No, who is it? No. TKL. Oh, ooh. That's no, Morty. No, it wasn't you. Not like this. It wasn't you, Papi. It wasn't you. Maybe it was. I don't know, but last we have lost Wardy. Link Bane rolling in once again. And both players have been able to max out. Cure establishing his 4th base, working on his 5th. He has a solid tank line back at home. He is transitioning. Ghost Academy is on the way. As Cure is getting the Ghost Academy, we have a Lunker Den thrown down for Solar. And we are headed towards that late game. The map is being cut in half. The drop play, though, just does not stop. The 2 workers go down. And the main army of Cure is actually finding a lot of these queens. Solar being caught out of position. Again, the constant drops here are taxing Solar. Going to be forced to cancel another base. We have another triple drop here towards the north. The Lings are going to try and get us around here, but the Banelings are a little bit too far behind. Cure, he can trade quite well here. Oh, he is being forced back. For the most part, though, even though it feels like Solar is still sustaining damage, he is able to keep up, is able to avert disaster. Finally gets his sick. Finally, the base is up and running. Oh, can we powerbomb? We can. As Solar has maxed out. Still working on 3-3, unfortunately. Working on +3 armor, though, is going to be able to hit that faster than Cure can hit +3 attack. Massive counterattack. These tanks are looking very exposed. 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks are going to be going down. Solar finding a lot of damage, but at the same time, Cure, he goes for his counterattacks. He denies a base. He gets into a mineral line as well. Was this worth it for Solar? He killed tanks, but he's losing bases. He's losing his economy. 15 workers go down. A hatchery falls. Can we get another? We're not stopping. Cure isn't stopping. 19 drones. Oh, he does lose a full medevac. Solar able to force us back, able to clean this up for the most part. Another medevac goes down. The problem is that even though Cure has lost, or did end up losing a lot of tanks, do we have a battle report? Yeah. It's 4 tanks going down. One of the tanks went down to friendly fire, actually. That's why it's on the other side. It still feels like a Cure got a little bit more lasting damage done. He's actually replacing those tanks. I wasn't sure if he would, but yeah, he's replacing those tanks as we speak. Getting the center base saturated. Trying to expand here towards the north as well. Solar still staying on this kind of lair tech army. Lingbane Hydra is very mobile. As you can imagine, it can sometimes have a hard time breaking through these siege lines, especially without Vipers. But the goal here is to try to bust down bases. As the drop is getting a little bit uncontested, but is going to get cleaned up at the same time. And Nidus does get up in the main base. Isn't going to find too much damage. Cure is able to keep up. As Palings roll into Marauders. Sensor Tower on the way. Cure trying to make sure he stays on top of these Niduses. As Solar's main army is rotating towards the north, a base is attempted to be taken, but it is going to go down. CC does fall. But throughout all of this, Cure is slowly building up that ghost count. The ghost count is getting higher and higher. This will be an answer to the Vipers, to the Lurkers, to even the Hydras as well. Another hatchery falls. Oh, nukes on the way. Let's go, Papi. Let's go. First nuke is on the horizon. Cure pulling back his drop. Solar, now working on his 7th base, 8th base even. Things have kind of stabilized for the most part. We're going to be relying on Banks as well. Solar, his army is looking to trade. Again, this Lingbane army, if at any moment there's an opening, he can just crash into a planetary, he can crash into a CC and kill it. And remax from there. Cure is being forced to turtle quite hard with these tank lines, with these ghosts. He can only be active with the drops. It's a massive power bomb will connect. When it comes to the map as well, it is being swallowed up in creep. Solar has so much map control, and Cure can't really contest against it yet. So this is kind of the dynamic of Gresswan. The Zerg is going to take control of the map, and then Cure is going to slowly push out when he takes a good fight. Another handful of tanks go down. Cure caught out of position. Yeah, this is the power of Lingbane Hydra. We bounce back and forth, north and south, and Cure, he can't keep up. Another tank goes down. A mineral line as well. CC is under threat. And sure, Solar, he invested a lot of supply to make that happen, but because of his bank, and his lava, he just rebuilds, he remaxes. It's very momentum based. Now, if Cure can actually be in position, if he's actually able to be ready in time to absorb a push, then he has an army that can trade more efficiently than Solar, and then he can counterattack afterwards. That's what he's banking on. But until such a time, Solar, he's time and time again, he's just rolling on in. Another base is going to be going down. The ghosts are not here. Yeah, the ghosts are late to the party. CC goes down. We do see Cure making some headway here towards the north, but again, he did lose one of his mining bases. Did cost him a lot. And he doesn't want to be caught out. He doesn't want to lose those ghosts. Solar pushing in. He does smell weakness. Another 2 tanks go down. We roll into a mineral line. It does feel like Cure is really struggling to muster up an army here. Whenever he gets close, he loses more of his tanks, he loses more of his ghosts. Shout out to the Bardlings, by the way. As they're rolling on in once again, we have the Viper for those Blinding Clouds. We have Infestors as well for Fungals. This is not the best trade here, but the Fungal does connect. There's no follow-up, but it does connect. Oh, once again, the ghosts, they all bunch up, and the ghosts are, for the most part, going to all go down. A big loss for Cure, but now he's all in. He unsieges every single one of his tanks. Everything gets unsieged, and now we're going for a counterattack. We have to make something happen. Solar has to take this slow. Solar has a massive bank. He can afford to lose a hatchery. He can afford to lose 2, 3 hatcheries. He has to back off. He has to rebuild. He has to remax. He cannot like take this too soon. He has to be patient. Link counterattack catches another tank. Can't be too hasty. So we go the tanks. They do get a second hatchery. Solar has to back off, has to respect it. Link counterattack gets across the map. Once again, we're going to be able to catch some of these reinforcements. Even forcing some friendly fire. As he tries to dive on top of some of these ghosts. Solar getting a little bit cavalier. Tanks all repositioning once again. Jesus, there are just so many tanks. He catches them unsieged. 3, 4, 5 tanks go down. We have the blinding clouds as well. Solar, he can't break this position, but he just cut the tank count in half. Ay, ay, ay. Exactly the moment that Solar needed. Now he needs to do that again. He needs to do that a second time. Blanca run by is on the way. And a very expensive run by. Solar has to be very careful. There are a lot of ghosts nearby. Oh, once again, the army gets caught on siege. The tanks, they get pounced upon. And Cure is going to lose almost everything here. Oof. Ay, ay, ay. Another 6 tanks go down. And at this point, we're just diving in again. Cure just doesn't have enough. Was caught out a couple too many times. Solar was able to find those opportune moments, and that was the chance for Cure. Now he doesn't have a bank. He doesn't really have too high of a worker count either. He's not even mining from his fresh bases. That's kind of how dire the economic situation is here for Cure. And Solar is looking to make a series out of this. He's looking to fight back. He's looking to force the ace match. Now this is like best case scenario for Cure is if his opponent pushes in, like he's pre-siege, like he's set up with towers as well. But the ghosts, they turn back around. They're dealing with the Nidus. That is going to expose this army. Okay, the ghosts, they come back. Thankfully. So another Nidus gets up. Lurkers are in the main base. The ghosts aren't here. Solar, he's diving on forward. Cure's coming in, but again, all of these tanks are going down. And Solar has broken through. Once again, the army of Cure, the army supply just plummets. And even if Cure regains control of his own main base, I mean, Solar's just remaxing, gonna be coming in once again. And every single time he dives in, there's just less and less to defend. There are less tanks, less ghosts. Pretty good fight for Cure, not gonna lie. Pretty good. Gains up a lot of those lings. Trade a lurker for a tank. Cure coming in, sorry, Solar coming in once again, looking to clean this up. It's a couple of those tanks. Cure holding on for dear life. He's just trying to survive, Poppy. He's trying his best. He's trying to hold on. But there's only so much he can do with as little as he has. It's been a very ambitious effort here from Cure. Really has been, but the army has finally been broken. Planetary is going to be going down. Cure has nothing left. GG gets called, and Solar ties up the series 1-1, forcing the ace match. GG. Wardy traumatized. Just a little bit, just a little bit. I was wondering, Wardy wasn't lagging, it was TKL. TKL is the French caster. Ay. As we are getting into our next game, we are looking to dive into game number 3. Into the ace match. Whew. Oh boy. Let's go, Poppy. Let's go. And the real question is, what map are we going to be loading into? Oh, it's going to be on Babylon. Okay. One of the smaller maps in the map pool. Doesn't have as many bases as Gressfan or Ancient, for example. Oh boy. So I'm sure we're going to be getting a very different game as we get ready for game 3. It looks like the players are asking for a break. I don't blame them. That was a long one. That was very intense. So we're gonna be giving them as much time as they need. What the hell is happening in Discord? Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna ignore Discord. Discord has gotten rowdy, Poppy. It's gotten rowdy. As we're diving into game number 3. Exclamation mark Discord, by the way, if you want to join our Discord server. Hi. As we are getting into this, and again, game number 3 is going to be taking place on Babylon. A bit of a smaller map. A map that I think favors aggression much more than the previous, and we'll see how our Terran player is able to make use of that. As spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the red Terran. We have representing Team Abydos. It is Cure. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Babylon, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Zerg player representing Onside Gaming. It is Solar. Let's go. Oh god, that was an intense game. That was an intense game number 2. Ooh. And we'll see how this all ends. We'll see what the finale has in store for us, as this is going to be the final game of this series. Best of 3. It's all we have. Bit of a shame. But at the same time, I'm thankful for it. Otherwise, we would be casting deep into the night. It's already midnight here in Australia, and usually this tournament goes on until around 2 a.m. If we have long games, we can go even longer, and yeah, that would happen if we had best of 5s. I mean, I'll stay up. I have a cup of coffee with me right now, so I'm willing, but you know, sleep is nice. Speaking of things that are nice, we do have a hatch gas pool opening here from Solar, so very standard, very economic. Again, very important to point out, just because Solar has shown his tendencies to go for gas first. He did it in game 1 against Cure. He did it against Oliveira as well, if you recall. But Cyril is willing to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more cheeky at times. But here in the ace match, not so much. In the ace match, he does shy away from it, as Cure is setting up for his own Rax Expander back at home. No 2 Rax Beyond opener shenanigans, no special opener either. None of that nonsense. Standard play, because it's Cure. Because he's just that damn good and crisp at it. Of course, it wasn't enough in that last game. Things took a turn for the worse, if you remember, when Cure was pushing through the center of Gressvan, and when Solar was setting up his surround. Cure, for one moment, it He wasn't looking. He was not looking. And his army was cleaned up, of course. Solar got so much map control as well. Kira, of course, after that was doing a great job at just going for this multi-pronged harass, taking down drones left and right, taking down bases as well. Very dynamic, but in the end, Solar did stabilize. And we saw that at a certain point, the job stopped, and Kira was stuck at home and was never able to properly max out and have a good fight. We were talking about it, but like he was having a hard time keeping up with the mobility of Solar's army. Because of that, whenever Solar committed to one of the bases, Kira just wasn't there. He just wasn't there with his Ghost, with his Bioforce. His tanks were left exposed, and Solar was pulling Kira apart. But that's also really unique to Gressfan, is what I will say. It's very unique to Gressfan. A map like Babylon gonna have a very different follow-up. And here we go. We have a 3cc opener before before Starport. Starport is eventually on the way, and if we do see the tech lab here, then we could be looking for another Banshee opener. We saw in the last game as well, the Banshees for Cure actually didn't do too much. Solar did a great job at hunting down the first Banshee, was able to shut it down. I think they only got like 2 or maybe 3 drone kills, nothing too crazy. Solar was able to avert disaster, and we've seen disaster. Disaster was game 1. We didn't need to talk about game 1. It's fine. We don't need to bring it up. As said, Banshee is on the way. Aliens are across the map as well. Just going to be dancing with these queens. Looking for drones if possible. And there we go. One drone doesn't go down. Very quick spore there by Solar. Able to keep that drone alive. Very nicely done. As you do see Solar just establishing his 3 bases. Kira back at home working on Click, working on his first Banshee. Should be a second behind this, and again, very Kira-esque. As soon as the orbital is done, we head towards that 3rd base location. Meanwhile, who is it? No! No! Steadfast! Oh. Feels bad, man. Alright, so Wardy has dropped once, TKL has dropped once, Steadfast has dropped once. Who's left? Enki. Enki hasn't dropped yet. Enki is the Spanish caster. He has yet to drop, but it's only a matter of time. It is only a matter of time before Enki leaves us as well. Smooch. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. I mentioned this before, but for those wondering, I believe the stream of Wardy and the stream of Steadfast are still up. It is just their connection to Battle.net. Specifically on the Korean server, the routing to Europe and to North America seems to be shaky. So because of that, in KSL, in ESL Open Cup Asia, in the KungFu Cup, North American casters and European casters have a hard time maintaining their connection to the Korean server. Thankfully, if you didn't know, I'm not from any of those regions. I'm from Australia. We have not dropped at all. So we're a little bit lucky in that respect. Just because, you know, we're not from the North American or European regions. So our Battle.net connection at least is stable. But yeah, it is a shame, and it's an issue that has risen up over the past month. It's a new issue. I don't know if like there was like a balance, not a balance patch, but like if there was like some kind of update to Battle.net, or maybe a lack of update to Battle.net. But something has changed recently, and that's why over the past month, casters have had a really hard time maintaining connection to Korea. I've also heard that they've been having a hard time connecting to Europe, actually. From NA to Europe, I mean. But we don't really cast too much on Europe, so I haven't seen that myself. I haven't experienced that myself. Australia, best internet in the world. True. Kappa. As a reminder, it doesn't have to do with internet speed. It has to do with routing. From my understanding, maybe I'm misinterpreting the issue that people are having to the Korean server. But here we go. First 2 Banshees have arrived. Gonna be getting a couple of drone kills here in the main base. Obviously, I'm also crossing my fingers and hoping that issues don't come up on my side as well. I may not have routing issues to Korea, but I do have internet issues from time to time. Because, you know, Aussie internet. With the good comes the bad, of course, comes the bad. As we get 5 worker kills, the Banshees do survive, and Cure is able to get out with quite a bit of HP as well. So not too bad here from Cure. 5 worker kills, able to get the hell out of there. Meanwhile, the Hellions are looking to apply some pressure as well. So far, they haven't gained too much ground. So far, the Lings and Queens have been able to keep up, and ooh, Solar is rushing into Hydras. That is a very fast Hydrogen from Solar. He's taking his additional gases at his third base as well. Oh boy, this can be a very greedy thing to do, especially if Cure is going to be very aggressive behind this. It looks like he hasn't gone into like an 8 racks or anything like that, but this first push is looking to do damage. But there's a lot of creep that he has to work through. Again, ideally, Cure, he wants to siege up here on the high ground. He wants to try to be within range of this triangular third. But the creep here from Solar is doing a great job at just buying him time. Does force a premature siege. Solar, he's already knocked down these rocks as well outside the third base, so he's going to have an easier time surrounding. Lingbane is set up here in the center of the map. Cure stimming on forward. He is going to be able to take down one of those queens, but... oh, Solar. God, he's waiting for that moment to surround. The armory isn't done. Without the armory, these Hellions, they can't support anywhere near as well as they usually do. They cannot morph into Hellbats yet. We're still a couple of seconds off. He's going to be very careful as he picks up. He's going for a double drop over towards the right-hand side of the map. Banelings are going to be rolling on in. Oh, and they will find their connections. We do get a master around the Hellbat. The Hellions never get to morph in. The Hellbats were not able to arrive, but the Marines do survive, and they're going to be able to keep on pushing. As they get forced back, in comes that double drop. The 5th base here of Solar is under threat, and the army's out of position. The hatchery will go down. Pretty worthwhile so far by Cure, as he does not stop. He's hunting down everything he can. Another Overlord goes down, a Creep Tumor as well. Solar trying to expand towards the south, but there are Marines waiting for him. Oh, another cancel. Barely not a kill. Ay, ay, ay. As Solar has been contained to 4 bases, but his army is still looking quite strong. You know, Solid Lingbane, Hydra Foundation, 2-2 on the way. Infestation Bit as well to take into Hive to head towards Vipers. And the creep is being respread. Cure there, he wants to keep on pushing. He is going to be spotted by these changelings. Solar's aware. Solar is repositioning. But we have another double drop here towards the north. Cure trying to distract his opponent. And I feel like, once again, Solar's a little bit too far out. He's going to try to react, but yeah, the base is going to be cancelled. Once again, Solar contained. Now we do have the double drop being forced back for the time being. Quite a lot of supply was committed to actually cleaning this up. That is going to create an opening here for Cure. Is going to create that opening. Reinforcements are on the way. Creep is being cleaned up. It's going to make it even harder here for Solar to engage. Hive is still on the way. We still don't have Vipers. Without Vipers, there's no secure way to clean up this tank line. Only 3 tanks to be fair, and here we go. Solar, he pulls the trigger. Oh. But again, this is just a really brutal position to try to push into. Aye. Cure rushing forward, looking to re-siege his tanks, looking to set up. Solar is now maxed. Both players are maxed, to be fair. Cure has a lot of supply on the other side of the map. As here we go. Solar, he collapses on this army. He takes down every single one of those tanks. He has enough. Forces a pickup at the same time across the map. Solar this time left supply here to defend. This time he was ready for the drop. Oh, but Cure dives into the main. He loses 1 full medevac. But he will get the spores. He will get the infestation pit. Infestation pit. Not the biggest pickup. Hive is already done. Ooh. So not the most important tech structure, but it does mean that Solar, he can't make infestors until he remakes that infestation pit. Or swarm host, but that's not gonna that's not gonna happen. But you know, just in case, we do need that pit for swarm hosts. Meanwhile, now that Solo was able to get that 5th base up and running, immediately gets saturated. We have a 6th on the way as we speak. Kira is going to try and deny it. Oh, he's going to force a cancel. With this force, he can actually push through onto the hatchery as well. Solo's going to have to respect it. At the same time, he goes for his own counterattack, denies the southern base. Oh, good stutter stepping out of Cure. But Solar still has too much, still does force this back. With these Vipers, he can even go for power bombs or even yoink those medevacs. Oh, he wants them. Does he? Hello. Bonami. Ah, there we go. Does get those power bombs off in the end. That awkward moment when your Vipers bonk heads with the medevacs. Aye. Not like this. As Kira denies the 6th base, but again, not as impactful, not anymore. As things are settling down, Kira trying to establish his own mining bases towards the bottom left. He's now working towards ghost production as we speak. Meanwhile, Solar wants to also be aggressive. He hasn't been able to harass too much. He denied the bottom left for a moment, of course, but he wants to do more than that. We have a Nidus on the way. Lunker Den is done. Adaptive Talons about to finish up as well. Those, of course, the Hive Tech Lurker upgrades. We haven't morphed in any Lurkers yet, but after a fight, I'm sure Solo is more than willing to. This is a bit of an awkward angle of attack. He's going to be pushing on forward, but he loses a lot of his Ling Bane. Does break into a mineral line, but that was not quite worth it. Solar throws away a lot of Banelings there. But he has a bank, he can rebuild, he can remax. You can see Solar setting up to try to take down this triangular 3rd base. Vipers looking to push on forward. Of course, the Ghost can help counteract that with those EMPs. As the entire army of Cure gets distracted. Here we go. The blinding clouds are thrown down. Banelings are rolling on into the Ghost. Up. Oof. The Ghosts, some of them go down, but Cure is able to hold on. 16 SCVs full here at that 3rd base. Oof. A big blow to the economy of Cure, but he does preserve the majority of his Ghosts. We can see here, only 3 Ghosts went down. Only 3. Pretty worthwhile trade for Cure. Oh, did I speak too soon? Up! Up! The Banelings don't quite connect. Oof. But yeah, Solar, he doesn't want to give any ground. Lurkers finally morphed in. Infestation Pit being rebuilt. Why? I think Solar did want to make those Swarm Hosts. He realized he couldn't. Kappa. I think he wants to make Infestors. He's working towards Infestors. Ghost going to be able to take down this northern base, but we do see Solar rotating down. Do you see Solar trading quite well here, getting on top of a lot of these Marauders. He's getting on top of the tanks as well. Cure losing quite a bit. Let's end up losing 3-4 of those tanks. Mainly they go for the run by as well. The planetary is under threat. Oh my god, the load! That was beautiful. Cure loading up that planetary, saving whatever he can. Only 6 SCVs go down. Oh, and here we go. Finally, the Ghosts are being active. EMP doesn't quite connect with those Vipers. We still have energy for some Blinding Clouds. Nidus on the way in the main. This push is looking pretty terrifying in favor of Cure. Ling Bane does roll in. But there's no answer to the ghosts or these tanks. Nidus does finish, but nothing comes out. Nothing comes out, and Solar, can he hold on back at home? A base does fall. Cure, he can keep on pushing. He knows he can. Nidus in the main gets cleaned up. We've been here before, at the start of the game. Cure looking to lay siege upon the triangular third. Solar, he knows that he can't quite push in, so he goes for a counterattack instead. And he's gonna find some tanks. Oh, but he loses the base. He loses the base. The ghost turn back around and every single lurker gets sniped. Oof. Cure winning on both fronts. He wins across the map and back at home as well. Or it just takes a better fight. It looks like Solo should finally be able to clean up these tanks though. Get something for his troubles. 2 tanks go down. The 3rd tank goes down. And even though Solar has been losing some of these bases, he's able to at least expand here towards the north. But as we can see, Solar is running out of money. Running out of money. He doesn't have a bank right now. He's just been trading too inefficiently recently. The mass burrow. I don't think that was intentional, I'll be honest. I think he was trying to borrow the drones, but he selected his army instead. 10 SCVs go down across the map. Meanwhile, the infestors! Boy, let's go. We're looking for either the fungal or the neural, but I don't think neural is researched. Yeah, we don't have neural. We're looking for those fungals. Looking to shut down these ghosts. And here we go. We go for the scan. The infestors go down instantly. Blinding Cloud, the tanks were laid to siege. A lot of these tanks are going to be going down. Solar taking advantage of that situation. Takes down the majority of those tanks. You're having a little bit of a lapse of judgment when it comes to his tank positioning. But the ghosts push forward. Lurkers are sniped. Oof. Base towards the south is going down as well. Solar tries to collapse on this, but he just can't. It feels like Solar's just losing a little bit too much. He needs a good fight to go his way. He needs a fight to go his way desperately. He gets some more of these tanks. Oh, a little bit of his control. The ghost did step forward for a moment, but they survive. And Solar's falling apart. Viper almost goes down. Cure forcing his way in between the bases can take down the Nidus as well. That was one of the things that was just keeping Cure back at home, and now it's gone. Yeah, over the course of this game, especially here towards the south, like Cure was able to take a really good fight, was able to take down some of the more important mining bases, and Solar is getting into a more desperate position. Like, this is the most crucial mining base now for Solar. He has to hold on to it. He has to stick around. Just diving on in once again. GG gets called. Solar cannot clean up this position, and Cure takes a series 2-1, advancing on to the grand finals. Which button is it? God damn it. Hold on, hold on. The other one. GG, well played. Congratulations to Cure as he does take down his opponent, does advance on to the grand finals. Does advance on to the grand finals where he's waiting for his next opponent. He's waiting for the upper semifinals match. GG, well played. Oh boy. Again, we had some this time at least, especially compared to Gressvan, typically Cure was in position to defend with his ghost when it came to these like big counterattacks that Soul was trying to conduct. On top of that, it wasn't even before that even, Cure was doing such a great job at just keeping the economy of Solar at bay, going for all this drop play, denying the 5th time and time again. By the time Solar finally got his 5th base up and running, Cure was on par, if not ahead economically, which is a terrifying thing in TvZ.